right, guys. Talk about the topic of the week here. Nick Aldis is officially done with the NWA. I want to hear your thoughts on what's been going on in that situation. As far as we know, he is completely done with NWA. What are your takes on this? And on top of that, what do you see him doing in the future?
So I don't think it's a surprise that he's leaving, and this is a couple of reasons. Number one, he's getting up there in age. If he wants to go make the big money, this is the time he needs to do it. He's getting into, I don't want to say the twilight of his career, but it's very similar to an AJ Styles situation when AJ was leaving New Japan. It's time for him to go make his money. I am a big Nick Aldis fan. I have liked Nick Aldis since before. I started watching NWA before the pandemic. And Into the Fire, the Thursday show that NWA used to do on YouTube. I love to watch Nick Aldis wrestle. He truly is. And his moniker is the National Treasure. He is British. Remy is our national treasure. Nick Aldis is Britain's national treasure.
Can you imagine that match?
Oh, that would be amazing. The reason I don't find this as a surprise is Nick Aldis is married to one Mickie James. They have a child together. Mickie James is running her last ride tour in TNA right now. This is her last go-around. She is trying to make one more big push, have a few good matches, and she's doing a great job of that. He is getting out of NWA, I believe, because they are both going to WWE. Mickie is going to be a future Hall of Famer in WWE. Once her contract is up with Impact, I'm sure she will be going with Nick Aldis to WWE. And if she doesn't, and that doesn't pan out, I think she retires and I think she becomes a producer for WWE while Nick works out his contract for WWE. I don't see a reason why Nick Aldis would go to AEW. He is more of a sports entertainer / wrestler than a wrestler sports entertainer. He walks the line very well. He's very much an Eddie Guerrero in my mind, just bigger. He can do your traditional psychological professional wrestling, but he can also do the entertainment stuff. He worked very well with Tim Storm, pre-pandemic, who is your very traditional 1980s NWA style wrestler. And then he also worked with your now champion, Tyus, for NWA. Before that, and who is much more of a sports entertainer. Tyus is, if you don't know, is formerly known as Brodus Clay in the WWE, as he was called. He did the whole dance thing. He was one of the Funkadactyls, or he had the Funkadactyls, whatever.
The Funkasaurus.
Yeah, he was the Funkasaurus,
yes.
Very different now for Tyus, or Brodus Clay. But what I'm saying is he can really do both. I think AEW is a no-go for him just because it doesn't suit him. I think he is very, very good on the mic. He cuts very, very good promos. And I think he could have amazing programs with Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. He already has worked with Cody Rhodes. If you go back, the very first main event of an AEW event, the very first All In, or All Out, I can't remember which the very first
All
one
In.
was. All In, your main event was Cody Rhodes versus Nick Aldis for the NWA Championship. You can't tell me that wouldn't be an amazing SummerSlam match at some point. Maybe not Mania, but SummerSlam. I think you have a very good chance because Mr. Aldis' contract is up approximately 2 months. I think he may be a surprise entrance in your Royal Rumble this year. But for all of those reasons, I see Nick Aldis going to the WWE. And do I agree with what he said on Instagram and how he phrased everything? I understand you're unhappy and you're not getting the exposure you need, but you don't. Number one, you never bury a company on the way out. Number two, you shouldn't air this out a week before one of the biggest pay-per-views you have of the year. And number three, it's not a work. This is obviously shoot. Billy Corgan spoke about it, who owns the NWA. This is unfortunately something I think Nick was venting and maybe he should have picked a different time about. But I've taken enough time. Marky, your thoughts?
No, I agree with a lot of your points. I think to touch on your, where he would go afterwards, I believe he screams WWE. It's not an AEW style, and plus AEW might be a little bit sour and maybe bringing in some older veterans, considering what might have just happened with CM Punk and all this mess. Okay, what happened there? So they could be a little sour on that. I think he does fit in beautifully in WWE, even if he doesn't come in and win a bunch of titles, which at this point he shouldn't. I think he's capable. But maybe win one. But I would like to see the series of matches against some other big guys like Drew McIntyre. I'd love to see him work with Sheamus in some of these just big, beating each other up. Gunther, right? Exactly. These guys that just throw chops like the day is long and just know how to beat each other up, but know how to absolutely entertain an audience. I do think that if anything were to make more sense than anything, it would be for him to go to WWE. I don't know if him going to Impact after this would make much sense, considering Mickie James is on that like farewell tour kind of situation. It does make sense that they do finish their career, because Aldis has worked in TNA before when he was Magnus. That's where I was exposed to him in the mid 2000s.
He worked. He worked over there when they were Impact as well.
Right, exactly, for a long time. And he was a big part of the main event for a very, very long time. He was involved in many storylines with the Aces and Eights and a lot of the other guys. So he has that star power. He feels, and had said before, like in these posts, you get the impression, actually Billy Corgan said it, that he felt as though as long as Aldis was on top, everything was like sunshine and rainbows. And then when he felt like something didn't go right, look, there's always going to be disagreements like this where both sides are seeing things from the same side of the coin, but just one seeing it through one side of the mirror. So they're each seeing it a little bit, the whole situation, just a little bit differently. And I think that's what we got here. But Magnus, being the veteran that he is pure and through a wrestler, but who is also elite at the sports entertainment fact. Coastal, you're right. He absolutely cuts a really good promo. He's very entertaining. And then he gets in the ring and he just works and works really, really well. He's really cool to watch. I think WWE is the place for him to go right now to finish out, just like you said, much like an AJ Styles. The last 3-4 years of his career, let him make the big money. Let him main event a SummerSlam against a Drew McIntyre, against the Kevin Owens. You know what I mean? Even in a losing effort, maybe for like a title. But either way, you'd go out there and he would give you a 20-minute gem. I don't think really there's too many other places to go for him. But here's the other side of that coin. With all that good stuff aside, did he absolutely hurt himself here by kind of going after NWA? Even feelings aside, it's like, it's not how many, it's like, it's when. So you say this right before there's a major pay-per-view. You say this right before they're putting this whole show together, right before your contract expires in like what? I think it was December 31st or early January. His contract expired next year.
I thought it was early January.
I think it's early January.
From what I heard, it is 18 days before the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, so it's early January.
January 5th or some arbitrary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. I think it would be really, really important for him to have kind of just rode it out. You know, you only got 2 months. You've been in NWA for years. You only got a couple months to ride this out. And instead of going online and doing this, which he summarily deleted the post very, very quickly. Maybe he realized how badly he screwed up. However, it is the internet and there will be proof forever. Unfortunately, there will be proof forever. So especially in this era that we're living in now, your words will stick with you for much longer than they used to. So you got to choose them carefully on the internet. And I think while everything about all this in the ring is elite and fantastic and would make any promoter go, please, I want that guy, do you have to now worry about the social media effect of what's going on? We're seeing it lately with like guys like Braun Strowman, who for out of no reason are like attacking people, not necessarily attacking them, but like just going after genres and just talking smack about people.
Well, his thing is from what I hear, a lot of backstage stuff
about tweets that he put out.
Well, no.
Flippy dippy guys.
So he's very personable backstage, and there's no problem face to face with him.
Right.
It's all of his stuff on social media that he tweets is what's putting him in a shitty situation.
Mm-hmm. Well, from half of the IWC, and you'll never make anybody in the IWC happy. Basically, when he sits there and goes, big guys are the best, we would beat any of these small flippy guys any day, all day. You know, some people look at that and go, he shouldn't say that, he's mad. But he's a big guy. That's the opinion side that he's coming from. So context is everything in that one.
I mean, how much of that's a work? How much of it's a shoot?
Right.
How much of it is him trying to gain followers for the controversy? You know what is great about wrestling, Marky, and we'll get into this because Nick Aldis fits well into this. Nick Aldis is a utility knife, as I see in WWE, because I think he could work with guys who are super technical, and I think he could work well with guys like R-Truth who are more on the entertainment side. I think he fits well in there. And the reason I'm bringing that up is when you put together a wrestling card, what is the greatest thing about it? There's something there for everyone. Usually open with your high intensity match, be it stiff or flippy dippy, and then you kind of ups and downs, and you make the people ride a roller coaster. When they leave, they're exhausted, but it's a good exhausted because they've run the gamut of emotions. You need your high spots, you need your stiff matches, you need your oh my gods, and you need your comedy spots. Wrestling needs everything to flourish. Nick Aldis doesn't have that comedy in him, I don't think. I don't want to see him try and do R-Truth stuff.
Which is fine. There's other guys for that. That's fine.
But he is an essential cog and a guy that can go out and do a sports entertainment match, I think, with someone like Jericho. Or I'm not saying, because he's going to WWE, I firmly believe that. But a competitor like Jericho or Sami Zayn, he could do a great match with Sami Zayn. Because it could be technical, it could be high spots. He could do an amazing physical match with Kevin Owens. And honestly, I think he could do that, bring the house down, one-time main event with Roman Reigns. I don't think you could get a trilogy out of them, but I think one time, it would be really, really good. I think he could be a Money in the Bank winner. I think he's a very believable Money in the Bank winner.
In fact, yes.
And if not Roman Reigns, if Cody gets that belt, now you have Aldis Cody at SummerSlam with the Money in the Bank. That's a great program.
You're selling a ton of PLE tickets. I can't believe I said PLE instead of pay-per-view. But yeah, you are making a ton of buys off of something to that effect.
Like, it's not a WrestleMania event, but it's definitely a SummerSlam meeting.
Like, has all this ever worked in WWE at all? I can't remember ever. I remember seeing him now he's in NWA.
What's interesting about him is he's never really worked a lot of companies. He worked NWA and TNA.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think I ever remember seeing him in a WWE ring.
Yeah, go right ahead, Johnny.
All right. I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a little bit.
Okay.
We're talking about the future of Nick Aldis. We're talking about where he's going to go after this whole NWA thing is over, and he can't really compete till that's kaput. So let's say his contract is done next year, beginning of January.
Yeah.
We all know there's the Royal Rumble coming up. In my personal opinion, I really don't see him going to AEW. I think we can easily kind of cross that off. They're still in disarray. They don't know what the hell is going on. We still haven't seen the Elite back. They're
already too full of talent.
That's what money buys. So, and there's still the ongoing situation with Punk. God only knows what he's going to do with that, because there is definitely some legal stuff coming AEW's way at some point. So they're a mess. And plus, I don't even know who's facing Moxley after MJF. There's no storylines at all in AEW, and that's
MJF wins the belt. At that point, it's not even Moxley who faces MJF.
Well, what I'm saying is that AEW storytelling is non-existent right now, and Aldis is a storyteller. I think we can all agree with that.
He's got that old school about him, yeah.
WWE is currently bringing back all the talent that got screwed over during the COVID layoffs. You're starting to see them slowly come back week by week. Mm-hmm. Are they going to be overstacked with talent? And will Nick Aldis be left in the back half the time when if he does go to WWE and they showcase him for a few months, and then what do you do with Aldis if you don't have anything for him? That would be my worry for. Well, hold up.
Okay.
That will be my worry for him going to WWE. My honest opinion, and I have a hunch that this is where he's going to go. I think he's going to go to Impact and make Impact better.
I like the Impact idea. I do. I can see that working. Just real quick, and God, we know I like the fantasy book, but So let's say Aldis appears in the Rumble. He
It
gets in the
wouldn't.
Rumble.
It wouldn't be a video without a segment of Coastal's fantasy booking. Let's be honest.
That's true. So Aldis gets in the Rumble. He's a surprise entrant. And now you can have him pick a plethora of people that he could kind of have a feud with to come out of the Rumble going into Mania, and you get him a Mania match. I think Kevin Owens, if he doesn't win the Rumble, would be amazing. Sami Zayn is a way to get him involved in a bloodline feud, possibly with Roman later. Would be great. Even Cody Rhodes. He could eliminate Cody. If Cody doesn't win the Rumble, Aldis eliminates him. Then you get Cody and Aldis at WrestleMania. After that, maybe he cools down, maybe not. Maybe if he beats Cody, which, wow, that would be amazing, you have him win the Money in the Bank. Now you have Aldis with the Money in the Bank. You can cash in at SummerSlam, and you have an Aldis Reigns main event. If not that, I think you could have him feud with a number. I think you could maybe have him be a tag team to help his longevity. You put him with maybe AJ Styles, or maybe you have him join some other people, put him in. I mean, at this point in his career, and I hate to say it because he's not super old, but at this point in his career, it's about protecting your investment and getting your big, not maybe top main event push, but a high upper mid card push or upper card push for him, and protecting your investment if you sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal.
I don't mind the tag team idea, but would he mind it? You know, after figuring, you know, the way he had spoken about himself and the way Billy Corgan had said that the way things go with all this is that he put himself on a higher pedestal than almost everybody else. Do you think a guy like that would take, I don't want to say a demotion, but then again, if he goes WWE and gets WWE money, do you do what you're told to stay on TV every single week and go up and be the best possible sports entertainer you can be?
What if you put him with the Brawling Brutes as a new add-on, and then he goes with it against Imperium? Then he's not really in a tag team, but he's part of a faction where you could put him in tag team matches. But could you imagine him and Sheamus against the 2 members of Imperium, or him against Gunther, him in any number of things?
What's Wade Barrett's competitive status right now? I know he's on the table.
I wish it was active because I was a huge Wade Barrett guy.
Absolutely.
I love Wade. I've got bad news for you.
Right.
Like, maybe you have Barrett manage it. Maybe you have Pete Dunne defect on the Brawling Brutes and go over. Maybe you bring up, here's an idea. What if you take Pete Dunne and bring him back to British Strong Style, and then you bring back the Mustache Mountain, Trent Seven, and Big Strong Boy, and
Tyler
the
Bates.
Tyler Bate, and then you have the 4 of them become a UK faction. You could even,
Or you could just have him team him up with McIntyre.
Well, that's more Scottish. I'd have, but the thing is,
Same
I
area.
like the team up. I want the 2 of them to fight each other. Not
so what they're doing right now on SmackDown is you just saw Drew McIntyre align with the Brawling Brutes. That's coming up for War Games.
Yeah.
But what if coming out of that War Games, you now have this faction of the Brawling Brutes who just had a throwdown with the Bloodline in a cage? You don't want to, you need to ride that high. What better way, and maybe you drag in some UK viewership with this, than to have this new faction with Aldis and Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, and Pete Dunne. You have Pete Dunne defect. Now all of a sudden you have this anger running against the Brawling Brutes in this new UK faction led by Nick Aldis. And that way, now you can keep it running. And then you get great bangers with Aldis and Sheamus. You get Sheamus and Pete Dunne. You get Aldis and, I forget his name. He unfortunately was the one part of the Big E unfortunate happening.
Oh, crap.
I cannot remember his name. I apologize.
Yeah, it saved my life.
Yeah.
In the chat.
But they're amazing. I mean, it would be amazing spots that you could put him in and still make him a part of things, but he doesn't have to wrestle every week.
All right. Final thoughts on all this before we swing it over to Dudes and Belts After Hours here on Twitch.
He is an absolute... Oh.
I'm sorry. Where is he going in 2023?
He's going to WWE. He is going to be a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble. With or without his wife, Mickie James. I think maybe without. I think she may be brought in if needed to put him over if he doesn't get over right away. I think a lot of it depends on his reaction as a surprise entrant in the Rumble. But I think he goes to WWE. I think he is a fixture in the upper mid card for the United States title or the.
Yeah, if it's about finishing on at the end, finishing strong and going out in your career the last 5 years or so, he's going to WWE. It's the biggest boy in town. It's the place you go. You get paid. You are on TV. You become a worldwide star instead of like NWA. Yes, everybody knows what the NWA is, but far fewer people watch NWA than know what the NWA is. So if you're going to do anything, you go to WWE. However, if he wants to finish and keep himself on a higher top than what he may be in WWE, then TNA or Impact might be the place for him to go, because the name will last longer and the star power will be stronger than it might end up rubbing off in WWE. WWE is a much younger audience, not so much that knows a lot more about outside of WWE. WWE fans, like most wrestling fans, are WWE fans, not wrestling fans. So if he's going anywhere for name recognition in places where people who really love wrestling and know wrestling want to watch it, he's probably going to Impact. But if it's about the money and finishing strong, he's going to WWE.
Ridge Holland is the name that unfortunately injured.
Oh, that's
Biggie.
true. Yeah.
Yes.
Quick side.
Yes.
So his contract may be up before the Rumble. Just a quick thought. Nothing says that we won't see Nick Aldis in the Tokyo Dome for either night of Wrestle Kingdom before he signs with somebody.
That is also
A
what
fair
He
point.
could sign in one-off and do a Wrestle Kingdom, get paid in the Tokyo Dome, and then go to WWE if he chooses.
We got to get you to talk in the mic more. You're breaking up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, no, Tokyo Dome is in early January is a big spot, especially because the IWGP United States heavyweight title is still kind of up in the air, which he could not win, but who wouldn't want to see him in the Tokyo Dome?
And for my pick, there's history there. He's had success. He is a name that could easily help this organization grow even more. We saw what happened with the AEW partnership, how that shit the bed. I firmly believe that you add in a guy like Nick Aldis with the name power that he has and his relationships that he has will definitely boost their Impact's ranks. I think Impact, in my opinion, would be the best decision for him. Plus, he will already be at the top of the card every single time he's out there on Impact, where
I'll tell you what,
where you just don't know with WWE.
Impact right now, if you're not watching Impact, you really should. There are some great talents on Impact right now. Joe Hendry, Jordan Grace is amazing as their Knockouts champion right now. And you're going to get Frankie Kazarian, who cashed in Option C. If nobody knows what Option C is in Impact, if you're the X Division champion, Option C is you relinquish the title and you get a shot at the main belt, which he's doing. They got a big, they have a big...
Hulk Hogan came up with that rule way back in the day. I can't believe that rule has lasted, but I actually really like it.
They have a pay-per-view coming up next Friday. And I told Marky Massel this the other day. Impact is 99 cents on YouTube. And you can watch next day their every Thursday show. 99 cents a month. Yeah, watch Impact. It's a good product. It's far and away better than it was.
You got to talk in the mic.
It's far and away better than it was a year ago.
There you go. We'll fix that during the second segment. Don't worry. All right, guys. We're going to send it over to Dudes and Belts After Hours here on Twitch.
Better?
Very much so. We're going to go into Dudes and Belts After Hours here on twitch.tv/Rocky Mountain Pro. Make sure you check us out every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on this same channel, as well as our shows Dudes and Belts Recharged and Dudes and Belts Reignited on Tuesdays and Thursdays starting at 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Until then, folks, stay safe, stay classy. We'll see you on the next one. We're going to move it over to Dudes and Belts After Hours.